I'm waiting for my water to boil. Right now, I'm going to brew this Black Metal branded Dark Forest black tea from Bitterleaf. It's a Jianhong. It's a black tea. I think sometimes among kind of tea nerds, there's an underappreciation of black teas because it's the thing that people get into first, and it's fairly I guess more common. I don't know. Also, this the black teas are the most heavily processed, which means you're getting the most taste of processing and the least taste of terroir to a certain extent. But good black teas can be amazing. The other problem with a black tea, if you call it that, is you can't do this thing where you just steep it and re-steep it and re-steep it, because most of them sort of lose their flavor, their durability relatively quickly. Here's my teapot today. This little guy, this little fish creature, and we'll see how it goes. It's been an interesting day because everybody watched yesterday, anyone who watched yesterday, and I know there's at least two people because two people wrote to me about it, mentioned Avatar, The Last Airbender, and they're fans of this, and we talked a little bit about Airbender because I've been watching it with my very young daughters. And we do this when they can't sleep in the morning. They get up very, very early. Well, this morning my older daughter got up at 2, and I was exhausted. I just haven't been sleeping enough, and 2 was just too early for me, and I kind of said, we're not watching anything. You can sit here with me in the dark, and you can sit here quietly, and that's it. You can go to bed, or you can sit with me. And she wanted to sit with me. Sometimes this would cause her to throw a tantrum. She didn't throw a tantrum. She was okay with it, thank goodness. On any other night, it would have been an issue. So we sat there for a while, and she fell back asleep on the couch. And I go to sleep easily, but once I'm awake, it's hard for me to go back to sleep. So I cracked open my laptop, and I worked until the sun came up and got a lot done because I was free from distraction from whenever it was, maybe 2:30, 3 in the morning until 6 or 6:30. Got a lot done, but I was so exhausted at this point that I actually fell asleep in my chair. Half an hour later, the younger daughter wakes up, bangs on her gate, comes out, and the day begins. And it's been a very, very long day since. Not complaining, just telling you where we're at, which folds into the theme that I wanted to address, which is 7,500 steps. I'm on this fitness program right now, and I'm supposed to do a certain amount of, I think it's 20 minutes of activity a day, and 7,500 steps, which isn't a lot for a reasonable person, but if you're sedentary, it can be a bit. And it's a good reminder because it's easy to get away from any sort of movement, especially when you're kind of exhausted, right? So, my plan this morning, I'm interviewing a novelist, Richard Raven, on Wednesday for my Merrimack Valley Magazine podcast, The 495. And I'm reading his debut novel, which I like, but I don't have a lot of time, and I find it hard to read novels when I'm distracted. I can read nonfiction when there's a lot going on. It's harder for me to read novels and get into the world. So it's a little bit slow going, not because of the work, but because it's a novel. All right. I'm not reading about the Tea Road or Steve Bannon or like even philosophy. I find not all philosophy, not like John Rawls, but I find reading stuff like Schopenhauer pretty easygoing and for whatever reason, it just engages me quickly. I hope I'm not sounding pretentious. It just does. It does. I can pick up Nietzsche and kind of get into it right away, and it's fun. But that's a very, very small percentage of philosophers who are like that. It's not like reading, I'm not reading ethics or something. I'm not reading contemporary academic philosophy. So my goal was to go to my local cafe this morning and get my drink, which is a large black coffee, and on the side, not in the same drink, which is something different, a double shot of espresso. Make my sacrifice. And I got 30 some pages read. There was a lot going on with work, so I bailed pretty quickly. And what I had wanted to do was go for a short walk on the way home. There's a small path that's about 1.5 miles on the way back from the cafe. And then I would get my 7,500 steps in before the storm came. Anyone watching this today knows that we're going to get hammered tonight in Massachusetts by a big old storm, supposedly. But I ran out of time, and I had too much to do. So I did not get my 7,500 steps, which I told myself, committed myself to doing. I'm only one day in, and I don't want to of this program, and I don't want to fail the program on day 2. And it's not because I have amazing colossal willpower, which I don't. It's not like I'm extremely driven. I just wanted to be able to do it. Out of shame, I guess, maybe, right? So I miss this opportunity. And then later in the day, the kids are bouncing off the walls, causing a ruckus and driving everyone nuts. I had a lot to do with work, so my wife was covering for me pretty much all day, and she was at her wit's end. So I took the kids out to play in the snow, where they just obsessively eat the snow, even to the point of pain and suffering. It's like they're addicted to it, like it's cocaine or something. Their hands will be freezing and trembling, and they can't move the bones underneath the flesh. But they'll still sit there scooping up the snow, and then they get upset when you try to take them in and tell them they can't have snow. They try to hide snow on their persons. They try to stuff their pockets filled with snow so they can have snow when they get inside. And they both do this. I suspect it's a vitamin deficiency. I don't remember doing that as a kid. I remember sticking your tongue out and letting snow fall on your tongue. I don't remember eating it by the bucketful and then crying when I could not have a 5th or 6th bucket. Not even caring if it was filled with salt and dirt and the carcasses of insects. But as I was out there, I got out the shovel. The snow was just starting to fall, and I started shoveling the driveway because I could keep an eye on the kids and I could move around. And occasionally I'd pull out my cell phone, answer a work email, and then return. And it was funny because I looked up and down the street, and there were a few other guys out there with shovels, even though there was barely any snow in the driveway. And they were all the dads with young kids. And I'm like, I know what's going on here. We're all out here for the same reason. We do not need to be shoveling now. We need to be moving around. We need to be exercising a little bit and moving ourselves and getting out of the house because we're going stir crazy. And there I was with the brotherhood of men outside, the brotherhood of dads, trying to stay sane, trying to keep it together in the face of COVID and a storm, which I embrace because it gives me the opportunity to maybe go snowshoeing, which I enjoy. I know some of you are looking at my shirt and admiring it. $3 in the clearance section at Walmart. The George brand. It's good stuff, the George brand. I rely heavily on George because, as I've noted before, I lost 80 pounds this past year. So I went from 3XL in March to a simple large t-shirt. And along the way, I had to replace my wardrobe a few times. And the way to do that is to make friends with George over at Walmart. Maybe not the coolest place to buy clothes, but man, $3 a shirt. The sad part is you sometimes buy shirts that you have an attachment to or that signify something to you. And sometimes these shirts seem to last longer. It's if they have an attachment to you as well. So you have XXX, in my case, shirts in the closet, lingering there. And it's not like I hope or suspect that I'm ever going to wear them again. But I don't want to throw them out either. This is nice. I think I need to brew it a little bit longer. I might have missed out on this one. It's a little too thin, and I don't think it's the tea. I think it's me. If you like the idea of watching a man stand in his basement rambling and drinking tea, feel free to subscribe. I could make money off this. Gobs of money, I'm sure. But you can't make money on YouTube until you get 1,000 subscribers. And I think as of today, I have 12. Who knows? Maybe I'll find the golden formula and learn how to get more. More likely, I will use this as kind of a diary, as a record of a man and what he experienced at this time. And I think at one time in history, people would have understood this. They would have understood that we humans want to leave a record somehow. We're so tangled up with pale notions from psychology that we sometimes see this urge to leave a mark or to record the facts of our existence as narcissism, which it isn't. And then on the other side, we have narcissists and people who seem delighted at their own presence. And, most of these people attract a much wider audience than I ever would. Oh, hold on a second. I'm not going to take that. Sorry, I should have shut that off. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't know about you. I like to follow as part of my exercise routine, I do kettlebells and I do something called mace swinging. And I just want to clarify when I say I do this, I mean, this is very recent. This is what I'm doing, but it's not like I have a mace bell tattoo It's not like I'm the head of the local Mace Bell Society. This is something that makes sense to me, that is affordable for me. I have the gear, and then once a day I go out into the garage and swing these things around. I'm not good at it. It's just this kind of activity because of COVID. I'm not going to the gym right now. There's not that much else I can do. It fits into my schedule. So I follow some Mace Bell swingers and kettlebell swingers, and you follow one on Instagram, and it's kind of cool, and they show some interesting techniques, and you pick up stuff. You pick up little tricks and little ideas, and you get a little bit of inspiration. If you sit there at night and you see people swinging these things, you want to get out and swing your mace as well. And then there's the person who's just always in their underwear, right? Always showing off their abs or their arms, or out on the beach somewhere. I always unfollow that. I always unfollow that because I know it's much more about that person than about in I don't know, whatever it is, than about maybe getting some sort of inspiration or learning something. All credit to them. All credit to them and their hard work. These people, but not for me. And then it's always embarrassing too, right? Like if I was just sitting there in a cafe looking at my phone, looking through Instagram, and someone just kind of peered over my shoulder, and it was someone in their underwear swinging a kettlebell. They would wonder what I was up to. They would probably not know what it was, and I would be embarrassed. What if I do that? Here we go. Still rough around the edges. Let's do one more. The storm is outside this window. My kids are tired. It's a rare moment when they're being quiet. They normally talk all the time, and they're not talking right now, and it's because they're exhausted. We ran them outside. Just ran them in the cold, and they got their dose of nature. So they're much more contemplative than they normally would be. One of the great things to do is to enjoy a few bowls of tea in silence. And to simply pay attention. This is part of what we do here, right? This is why you drink the good stuff. As a form of attention. Maybe meditation is too strong a word. But instead of letting this blur and become a habit that you do mindlessly, if you start paying attention to the sounds, the colors, the look of your ceramics, the feel, the weight of the bowl, the smell, become sensitized to the energy of the drink, where it makes your throat warm, or your jaw, or your nose, or your forehead, or your chest warm, or cool. Begin to pay attention to the sensation of your out-breath in layers of experience in the out-breath, mintiness or dryness or pininess. That was good. This down. I need a tea towel down here to wipe these down. This is good enough for now. I should wipe these down. I'll go get a towel. So this is the second Enlightenment Cafe. I'm going to keep coming down to my basement and drinking tea and talking until someone inevitably tells me this is ridiculous, what are you wasting your time doing, and maybe we'll be on to other things. That's it. I'm going to go play with my kids.